All right, so we got a video from Michelle Investigates. All right, I guess men are better at being women. I have no idea where this is gonna go. All right, let's just take a look and see what we got here.
Well, girls, I guess we should just retire. Hello, my lovelies. I hope you're all well. So, apparently, men are just better at being women than women these days. There's been a few things going on in the news lately about this. Men taking women's scholarships, winning in women's sports.
Okay.
People like Dylan Mulvaney being invited to speak on behalf of women at the Forbes Summit and then to meet the president and such. And then this one flagged up a little while ago. So, student 19 becomes Miss America's first ever transgender local pageant winner, as critics accuse the woke competition of allowing opportunities to be stolen away from female contestants. So, this student, Brianne, 19 years old, has won the Miss Greater Derry title. So this is just a small local pageant that happens, but it's the first time that a biological male has ever won. Now, I've seen people saying it doesn't really matter, it's only a small local pageant, it's not that important. Why are you getting so worked up about it? But I'll tell you why it's important. Because the world has gone insane. Right. I'm going to show you a picture you've probably already seen what Brianne or Brian or whatever looks like. So this is a beauty pageant scholarship program, okay? Set up by Miss America, which is a huge organization. It's for contestants between the ages of 17 and 24. They are judged on their achievements in scholastic aptitude, talent, character, community service, and poise. Okay, so it is a beauty pageant, but they're not just judged on their beauty. So what we have here is a picture of Brianne with all the other contestants. Now you'll notice a stark difference between Brianne, who won, and the girls that they were competing against. Now, we have some very beautiful young ladies here. They're all very slender, very poised. They obviously take care of themselves and have probably worked very hard ahead of this pageant to, get themselves into shape or whatever. Looking after their skin, eating right, all that good stuff. Brianne, on the other hand, as you can see, and I'm not being mean here, is obese, and not just overweight, they're obese, and not particularly beautiful either, and obviously towers above the other contestants. So I think a lot of people have issue here with Brianne winning because we have certain beauty standards. Every country, every portion of the world has beauty standards. And here in the West, our beauty standards are, generally speaking, slim, healthy looking people, symmetrical face, all that kind of thing. And, standards change over time as well. We go through phases of very skinny being the ideal.
I can definitely understand what she's trying to say here. All right. Um, for her to win, you can't really say they judge that based on the merits that it should have been. All right. Um, I mean, that's pretty obvious. I don't know for sure, but there is a few speculations we could make. All right. Favoritism, not wanting to appear right to not give everyone a fair chance. And that has a very crucial side effect built in with it. Okay? That is reverse discrimination. As soon as you think, I can't vote against this person because these other people might get mad and then they'll criticize me for it, you're wrong. You are now discriminating against other people who you would have originally voted for. See what I'm saying? So now they don't have a chance at winning because you have this other outside interference telling you which one, what direction you need to go. That's not right. Okay? The thing is, anytime we are talking about these things, at least for me, it's down to equality. Everyone should have the same opportunities as everybody else. Now, and in this case, I don't feel like anyone else in that picture had a fair opportunity to win. Because they wasn't trans, because they wasn't, or any of these other things that could have been part of it. That is not equality. If you were doing that, trying to get there, like, oh, we're speaking for equality, you're not. You may have thought you were, okay, but you've taken 2 steps backwards now. So that is what we should not be doing. Okay? We should be judging everything based on fairness. We should be going by the book in all of these situations. You know what I'm saying? Because then, if someone ever comes up and says, hey, why didn't this person win? Oh, is it because she's trans? No. It's because she did not meet the criteria to win this beauty pageant. Okay? That's not to say they shouldn't ever have a chance to win. I'm not saying that either. Because, again, that sort of goes in reverse. So the question I have, were those all fake smiles? I'm thinking probably so. They probably just had enough, professional mentality that we're still going to be, positive about this, even though we feel like this is rigged. This is not fair. That's what I think was going on there. And that's not right.
Very curvy being the ideal, but it's never overweight or obese. That's never the standard that people look for. Yes, there are people who find overweight people attractive, and that's fine because that is a preference. Of course,
right.
The fat acceptance lot don't want you to have that preference of having a healthy, slim shape. You're not allowed that as a preference because then you're oppressing them, right? Everyone's a victim. But yeah, Brienne here doesn't really conform to the...
So, I definitely agree with that. All right. Everyone has the right to their own preferences. I do not understand that type of talking point. An example of that is, oh, well, if you wouldn't date a black person, then you're racist. Oh, if you wouldn't date a fat person, then you hate fat people. Doesn't mean that at all. That is your personal dating preference. That has nothing to do with showing respect for individuals. All right. If you are, when it comes to your dating preferences, you have the right to have your own preferences. Okay? That's what it's all about. So go up to anybody and ask them, is there a certain type of person you would not date? Every single time you should get some type of an answer. You can't then turn around and say, oh, you just hate that type of person. Everyone is not everyone else's type. Okay? That does not work. We're supposed to find someone that is an ideal match. Okay? You should not go and date someone just because it fits a certain narrative. Like, that is bogus on so many levels. You know what I'm saying? So they need to stop confusing those two issues. All right? Hating a certain type of person and not wanting to date a certain type of person. Those are two totally different things. Now, if you got someone who's going out and they're using racial slurs or they're fat shaming or they're whatever else, now you have some room to talk. Now you can say, look, you're being incredibly rude and insensitive to other people, and you shouldn't be doing that. Now you have some ground to stand on when you say, hey, that's wrong, you should be doing that. But we can't be turning it into, oh, well, you should want to date everybody. No, it doesn't work like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, that is just absurd. I almost wonder if the people that are coming up with these talking points, if they even believe it themselves, or are they just trying to get some controversy out of it? That's what I think. They're just trying to get some controversy. And this could be the same thing. This thing right here could be, let's get a good headline going. Let's try and get noticed somewhere because no one's paying attention. Could be. I don't know.
General Western beauty standards. So a lot of people were saying if Brienne were actually female and had entered, there is not a chance in hell they would have won. And I agree. I agree 100%. So there's a couple of things that were possibly the reason that Brienne won. First being that the pageant saw an opportunity to virtue signal, which is very
right.
Understandable that may have been the case. So they had...
But it's still wrong because, like I said, that is reverse discrimination. You're giving someone the upper hand, an advantage over other people who should not have a disadvantage. So let's not go doing all that. You know what I'm saying?
This trans person enter the competition, which shouldn't have been allowed in the first place. I think they should stipulate biological females only, but they didn't. So Brienne entered, and they said, "Oh, as a trans person, if we let them win, then that will look really good on us." That's one possible. Another possible,
or really bad for anyone who has a higher standard for the rules. You know what I'm saying? And wants to see people win who actually deserves the win. Now, this is a tricky topic. Okay. This is very hot button issue. I think is a better way to put it. It's a very hot button issue. I think perhaps beauty pageants with trans people would be fine if they were all in that same category. Okay? That way there's no outright disadvantage or advantage. Well, something that I learned about police lineups. They're supposed to have everyone with very similar attributes. Okay, I think it was Legal Eagle when he was reviewing My Cousin Vinny, because they had the two suspects in the same lineup and they looked completely different than everyone else. It made it a lot easier for those two, because they stood out from the rest of the group, to single them out and say those are the guys. Had they have at least put them in different lineups, now the odds of singling out those two particular guys gets a lot less. All right, almost impossible at that point, because we know they weren't the guys. But because they were so sloppy in the way they designed their lineup, horrible, horrible idea, horrible way to go about it. So that's the way I'm looking at this. Everyone should be able to have a fair chance at winning. Okay, let's imagine for a second that this was a complete fair pageant. This trans person would not have had a chance at winning at all. Okay, I'm sorry to say, these other women are a lot more attractive than she is. Okay, it also boils down to preference, as I've said previously. Most men are not going to look at a trans woman that way. They're just not. That does not make them transphobic. As I've heard recently, and it just blew my mind that someone could say that kind of thing. You know what I'm saying? Uh, so, as I said before, you could be respectful to trans women or trans men, however, whichever way you want to go about it, but not actually want to date them. Those are two totally different things. And I think that is something more people should start to realize and understand. You have the right to, when it comes to your dating preferences, you have the right to discriminate. You have the right to say, this person is attractive, that person is not. Okay, that person is a man. I am not attracted to men. So that's a no go. That does not make you homophobic. It just means you're not that way. As long as you can talk to that person and show them respect and treat them like a human being, then you're not homophobic. So people need to start getting out of this rabbit hole of just, if it looks bad and sounds bad, then it is bad. So a little bit more understanding and common sense.
Is they said, oh, a trans person's entered. If we don't let them win, we're going to get a lot of hate. Again, I could see this being one of the reasons why he won.
It's still wrong.
And me saying he is not hate, by the way. Just FYI. So, in my opinion, it's either one of those things. So what we have here is a picture of a previous pageant winner. So this is Lilani Dowding, who was crowned Miss Great Britain in 1998. And as you can see, beautiful, beautiful woman. And she has said, winning the competition opened up a world of opportunities to me, a result of being allowed to fairly compete in an era absent of woke ideology. Sadly, these young women today are not being given the same chance. And she said that the pageant are desperate to appear woke and inclusive. And I 100% agree with her sentiments. I think they are virtue signalling, and in the process, they have denied one of these girls a scholarship and a financial win, which has all gone to Brian. And you know, the sad thing is these girls cheering and applauding this opportunity being taken away from them. I can see this one girl in the like purpley bottom dress here. She doesn't look particularly happy. But, oh, do you know, I'm in two minds about it, because on the one hand, I want these girls to stand up for themselves and say, no, this is wrong. We can't have a man winning our competition. On the other hand, they will get crucified if they stand up against it. So it's like,
This is true.
what do you do? It's such a difficult situation. Like, I don't mind sitting here and voicing my opinion and saying that he shouldn't have been in the competition, because there's not many people that are going to see my video, let's face it. But for one of these girls, if they actually came out and said no, like the girl from the volleyball team, do you remember, in Vermont, who said, we don't want a bloke in our changing room? And she's getting like hammered by the school now. So Leilani continues.
Bloke, I don't know what that means, so you'll have to explain that one to me. Alright. Also, we do have some differing opinions about transgender people in general. And this is where I kind of thought it might go, but I was like, I'm going to hold my reservations until then. My philosophy on this, birth defects happen all the time. People can be born with, you know, just a slew of different mental defects. They could have their wires crossed. They could be born with different hormones they're not supposed to have. You know, you can have people who are born with both male and female parts. So who is to say that someone could be meant to be a man, you know, but their wires got crossed and they have different hormones that do not match their physical attributes? So then you have someone with mixed attributes, and then the question is, okay, are you male or female, right? Now, the general consensus is it determines by your physical attributes, right? I disagree. I think for most people, yes, the physical attributes is as far as you need to go. But when you have someone with mixed attributes, then you need to look beyond physical attributes. You need to look to the mind, right? You need to look to the hormones, to their reasoning, their processing, right? Because those things are going to be different. That is not to say that we should just completely accept it, right? But that is something that should go to a professional in the field, right? And figure out, is this just an identity crisis? Is it a phase? You know, but that's between them. That is not something for us, the general population, to sit back and say, hey, wait a minute, you're not really this way because of this or because of that. Okay? That's between them. That has nothing to do with us. At least that's my opinion. So, and that is one thing I think more people should start to understand, right? Like, you weren't there when that person was being created. You didn't see all of the elements that went into creating that person, right? You didn't physically see the hormones, the physical attributes. You didn't see all of these things coming together, right? So how can you judge to that person and say, hey, wait a minute, you're just conflicted, you're confused, right? You are not that person. How do you know everything that's going on with that person? There are a lot of hot button issues, though, that are worth discussing. That's not to say, oh, because you feel like a man this day, that means you can go into the men's bathroom. That's a hot button issue. That is not something I'm prepared to just start discussing. You know what I'm saying? That is like the most difficult topic right there. And it needs to be addressed. But I don't think I'm the right person to address that. I'm not a lawmaker. I'm not anyone special like that, right? So I'm not really the one. Um, so perhaps if a situation like that becomes a problem, then that's when that situation would be handled on its own merits. Just as a possibility. All right. And possibly, like I said, I'm no expert on this or anything like that, but possibly what should matter the most when you are going to a public restroom is your physical attributes. Um, the differences in physical attributes is what matters the most, right? Doesn't matter how you're dressed, doesn't matter what you look like. Everyone's physical attributes should match when they're going into public restrooms. Okay, that's a possibility. I'm not sure if that's exactly where it needs to go. It probably is. Um, like even if you identify one way but have mixed attributes, then I don't know. I personally I think your physical attributes should match everyone else you're going in the bathroom with. Um, I couldn't imagine very many women saying, "Yeah, I'd be comfortable with uh a woman who has male parts going in the bathroom with me. I'd be comfortable with that." I don't think so. I think most women would say, "I don't care how that person identifies. If they, have male parts, I don't want them in the women's bathroom." All right? And that's perfectly understandable. That doesn't make them transphobic, it doesn't make them homophobic, and none of that stuff. Okay? This is about common decency. All right? Y'all put in the comments and let me know. Do you think I'm on the right track here? That physical attributes is what matters the most when you're going into public restrooms. Okay.
For the sake of females going forward, we cannot allow this. They don't even realise that opportunity has been stolen from them by a biological male and it's out of control. Yep. And that's the tragedy of it. Like, I'm sure some of these girls were very happy for Brian and were genuinely applauding and thinking this is a great thing. And that's a tragedy for me, that they've been so indoctrinated and brainwashed into thinking that a man taking a scholarship and an opportunity away from them is a good thing. But I guarantee most of those girls, I mean, I can't guarantee it, I would suspect most of those girls were thinking, what the fuck is going on? Because I know I would be if I was stood up there and this guy came, out of shape guy at that, came along and won, and you'd be thinking, this is a beauty pageant, and I think that's the problem. Like, if it was someone like Blair White, right, who's beautiful, then you could kind of see, but I'm sorry, Brienne, it's not the, it's just not the one. The whole situation is just tragic. It's just tragic. And the fact that people are buying into this shit left, right and centre, it just infuriates me. But anyway, let's move on, shall we? I did a bit of Christmas shopping today. Look what I picked up for my little girl.
So I hope that I've helped, sort of explain this topic a little bit better. All right. And hopefully some of you guys might end up being in a position to correct some of these people who are making these decisions, and to let them know, hey, this is reverse discrimination. All right? You are deplatforming people who doesn't deserve to have their platform stolen away. You know what I'm saying? Because someone wants to virtue signal, or they want to set a precedent, or they want to do this and they want to do that. They should decide based on merits. All right. As she pointed out at the start of the video, the merits that it was supposed to be judged upon. That's clearly not what happened. Another thing to consider: what if someone goes through a lot of plastic surgery, right? And then they enter a beauty pageant and win. That's the same thing. It's supposed to be people who haven't changed their appearance. Okay? It's supposed to be, people who are born with certain qualities, right? That's not something that, they didn't need to change anything in order to look that way. You know what I'm saying? So I think once we start going down that path, that's just gonna make everything crazy. All right. So I have no idea if getting extensive plastic surgery would disqualify someone from a beauty pageant. I have no idea. I think probably it should. Unless they want to create a beauty pageant for, for people who've underwent that type of surgery. You know what I'm saying? Um, but overall, I loved her video. All right. Um, I love that she was at least trying to be respectful towards, I don't remember what her name was. Um, and not just outright, just like throwing insults and everything else, like I'm sure a lot of people would. Um, I'm still brand new to her content. Okay. So as of right now, I'm loving that aspect that she has some, professional attitude here. That it's not like, oh, this person is just ugly. They could never win any type. It wasn't like that. It was just saying, look, these other women are naturally born, you know, being very attractive. And that's what this pageant was supposed to be based on. And they didn't judge it based on those merits. So, very interesting video. Absolutely loved it. I'm going to be looking for other videos that I think I could probably help to expand on the conversation from Michelle Investigates. All right. If there's any of her videos, or if there's any videos that you have, right, that you would like to possibly get an American's perspective on it, because I know you are in the UK, I believe. Let me know. All right. All right. That's it for now, y'all.